Hello everybody and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Saxlingham. But before that, this video is brought to you by Jonathan and Semper Buffo. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Saxlingham map can be found over at FarmSim Briscoe's itch.io site, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is obviously going to be available for PC and Mac players only. That's because, of course, this map is not yet released over at the main Giants mod hub, and to be quite honest, I'm not really sure if it's going to be posted over there. There isn't much of a reference to that here on the download site. So to that end, if you do want to download this, you will need to go to FarmSim Briscoe's itch.io site, and again, I do have a link to that down in the description below. Let me read you some of the description. This is considered a beta version and may require changes should any bugs arise. Although I think this is pretty much stable at this point. But at any rate, he does have a link to his Discord if you want to go ahead and join that in order to report any issues you might find. Welcome to Saxlingham, a richly detailed map based on a real-life village in Norfolk, UK. Explore the rolling English countryside with narrow hedgerow lanes, traditional farmyards, and authentic British agriculture, featuring a variety of arable fields, grass meadows, and working farmlands. Saxlingham offers a realistic and immersive farming experience for the true rural Anglia. We've also got some hot hatches puttering by here at the load point, if you haven't heard so. If you do like auto drive, he does have a link here to some auto drive courses that you can add to the map itself. Now, if you've never downloaded anything from itch.io, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to click on the download now button. We're going to be taken to a page where we could give, if we wished, a free will donation, but we don't have to because we can just click on no thanks, take me to the downloads. And once we do that, we have a download page. We're going to click on that. We're going to download the map. As you can see, it's downloading right here. And then once that has been downloaded, put the zip file into your mod folder. With that said, let's jump back over here to the map and take a look around. Now, if we pull up the PDA, you're going to find that this is a standard sized map. And we start out in the upper northwest corner. That's where our main arable farm is going to be located. But you can see we have quite an interesting map. The map is kind of split east to west with a winding river that's running mostly through here, but then it kind of, I guess, goes underground right here by Farmland ID 33. We do have all the standard crops available to us in FarmSim 25 available on this particular map. And if we zoom in and take a look at our farmlands, you'll see we start up by owning Farmland ID 85. That is the main starting farm. It is an arable farm as it does not have an animal pasture pre-placed. We also own Farmland ID 7, Farmland ID 19 at the start, as well as Farmlands ID 3 and 2 along the western edge of the map. Now, there are multiple other farms on this map, as well as multiple possible farmhouse locations. So we're going to find our first farmhouse at Farmland ID 95. It's going to be located right here, just south of the main farm. Buy that for $366,240,000. We also have a farmhouse at Farmland ID 101. We also have one at Farmland ID 72. We also have one at Farmland ID 63. And then lastly, we have several down here in the southeast corner. Farmland ID 55, 56, 57, and 58. Now, as far as other farms on this map, well, we have a few of those as well. We have a cow farm at Farmland ID 83. That's going to be located right here. $1,176,000 to buy. We also have a cow farm located at Farmland ID 65, which is located up here to the northeast for $511,560. Now, just like our main starting farm, which is an arable farm, I'm going to say that we have an arable farm here at Farmland ID 84, which is going to be $392,000. and also one at farmland ID 75, which is going to be $464,820. Let's circle back here to our main starting farm. Once again at farmland ID 85. Should we choose to not own the farm at the start, well, we'll be able to buy this for $387,000. In addition, we also will not have any starting machinery if we do not own the starting farm. Now, something else to point out is we do have a biogas plant here at farmland ID 90, and if we own the biogas plant, we'll have to buy farmland ID 90. We don't have any way of buying the BGA without directly buying the farmland. With respect to our crop counter, we do have a custom growth counter on this map because you do see we have growth schedules in the spring for our barley and for our wheat. So there may be other tweaks to the schedule here, but those are some key points that I do want to look at and make a notation of, is that we do have custom growth for barley and wheat. We also have a custom soil map with respect to this map. So let's go ahead and see how that soil map is being applied to these fields. I want to point out that as you look along the river here, on either side of the river, we've got loamy sand, and that's going to continue basically throughout the entire middle of the map. On either side of the river, past our loamy sand, we have strips of loam, and then past that yet, on again, east and west of that river, we have areas of sandy loam. Overall, this map appears to be fairly free of silty clay. This map does not have any animals pre-placed on the starting farm, and if we do own the cows, we will see that we do have animals at those cow areas. I'm going to be buying all the farms here in a brief moment. With respect to contracts, we do have contracts available on this map, including stone picking, so I can expect that we are going to see also other contracts like dead wood and wood transport as well. As I mentioned, there are no productions pre-placed on this map other than the BGA, which again you purchase if you buy the farmland. Now, as far as sell points go, I counted up 5 different sell points on the map. They're in 2 main locations with a grain mill right smack dab in the middle, right along the river. So overall, you're going to be driving a fair little bit in order to get to any of the sell points. As far as our vehicles go, we do get vehicles with our starting farm if we do own that at the start. We're going to run down through that list here in a moment. And then with respect to collectibles, we do not have any collectibles on this map. With respect to our starting fleet, taking a look at our garage menu, we have the New Holland T7 270 medium tractor. We also have the Kloss Arion 570 small tractor. We have the Big Body 750S trailer. Then we also have the Prolander 7500 cultivator and the Servo T6000P plow from Pottinger. We have our Great Plains Solid Stand 1500 seeder. We have our Breedall K105 lime and fertilized spreader, as well as the Hardy Delta Force 5200 sprayer for our liquid fertilizer and herbicide. We have the Kloss Lexion 6900 harvester that is paired up with the CombiFlex 1080 grain header, and then the Nardi N6035 header trailer. We wrap it all up with the Kloss Quadrant 53FC square baler, and that is our starting fleet. With respect to mods and DLCs, this map does not have any custom mods or DLCs built into it. Now here we have our starting farmhouse, and in order to get to the sleep and wardrobe triggers, we're going to have to go into the backyard. Make our way around the corner, and here we have our sleep trigger and our wardrobe trigger. Everything at all the farms can be sold, except for this farmhouse. Oddly enough, I was not able to sell the farmhouse. All these other sheds can be sold. I will say that you will notice throughout this map video that we have what appear to be custom buildings at all the farms. So we have our fuel tank here. We have our dump point. We have our fill point for that. We have our grain silo. So we're dumping fill pipe here. And we will also be demonstrating here in a brief little bit that all of these buildings, for the most part, are also available for placement. So if you do want to go ahead and tweak how these farms are laid out, you have the ability to not only sell things, but also place them back down. Here we have bale and pallet storage for a total of 750 bales or pallets. And that is pretty much the main starting farm here. Let's jump up in here into build mode, just so I can show you the various sheds and such that we do have available that are custom. So we've got custom grain storage sheds, medium sheds, and the like. Under silos, we do have our custom grain silos, as well as object storage silos, silage, bunkers, manure pit slab, and we also have then a custom sleeping mat for our various farmhouses. If we want to put this down, we can do that as well. We have the BGA listed here, and I think this is just listed here because it is included with the map itself. We have a custom cow barn that is also available for placement. It's going to be able to hold 175 cows. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our ground textures. We do have a couple custom ground textures. One of them, which I thought was most intriguing, is here the tree roots. Kind of an interesting texture to be able to put down there. As far as our trees go, fairly standard assortment of trees and plants. I've gone ahead and purchased all the other farms and farmhouses on the map at this point. See, we have our starting farm here. We have another arable farm, as I mentioned, at farmland ID 84. South of that, we have our first cow farm at farmland ID 83. And then we also have a cow farm here at farmland ID 85. And another arable farm at farmland ID 75. As far as those farmhouses go, see we have the cluster of farmhouses here in the southeast corner. We have a farmhouse again at 63, at 72, 101, and then we also have a farmhouse by itself here at 95. A couple of these other locations like 83 do have a farmhouse associated with them, but not every farm has a farmhouse tied to it. If you do own the cow farms, well, you'll have 25 cows in one and 10 cows in another pasture. With that said, let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude and make our way over to the next arable farm. So there we have our farm, our farmhouse. We make our way 2 doors down. We do then have the farmhouse at farmland ID 95. We have our vehicle dealer, which we'll come back to. But right across the vehicle dealer, basically, we have a lane taking us into the arable farm that's just south of our starting arable farm. And this is going to be a collection of buildings and our farm silo. So we have some machine sheds. We have some grain storage if we want to dump it on the ground. That is fairly common in Europe and the UK, as far as I understand. We have bale and pallet storage, and then our silo system. We make our way over here to, this is going to be that grain sell point that I mentioned. That's right along the river. Here we have what I'm classifying as another arable farm. It's again going to be a series of buildings. We have our traditional silo with bins and a dump and fill point. We have another storage shed that we could use for bales, grain, or the like. This one is kind of two-sided with a dividing wall in the middle. Bale and pallet storage in the middle, and then just storage sheds on either side. Now, what makes this area kind of interesting here toward the middle of the map is if we make our way to the west just a little bit, we're going to come across a couple more of these grain storage sheds. So we have two located right here, farmland ID 78 and 79. These are on buyable land. You can buy these, and if you do buy these, you will be able to make use of those. We also have two at farmland ID 97 and 77. These are also going to be available for purchase as far as farmlands go, and if you own them, then you will have the ability to make use of them. Guess I should clarify. Farmland ID 77 has the sheds. Farmland ID 97 is going to be the forest around the sheds. Now, I kind of feel that these are maybe somewhat tied in with either the arable farm or the arable sheds or the cow farm, which is right down the road over the river. We got a person bridge. We have then a vehicle bridge. We have the farmhouse for the cow farm located right here with our sleep and wardrobe trigger. And then just down the lane, we have our cow farm. So a three-sided silage bunker. Bale and pallet storage, again for 250 bales and pallets. Some small shed storage. Cows are across the street. We'll go to those in a moment. Now, when you sell these buildings, you're going to find things like this are going to be just kind of hanging out, just here as deco items. You do have the ability to sell those, but you might have to sell them individually. So you will have kind of a lot of cleanup to do once you get rid of the buildings themselves. We have fuel here at this farm as well. Another one of those large grain storage shed buildings. This is going to be a kind of a straight through. This is going to be our silo. So we have our dump point here. And we're going to have our fill pipe located right there. Another grain storage shed. This is going to be the one with the dividing wall. And then we have our cows. So we have our food trough here. We're going to have our straw trigger inside of there. This particular one has 25 cows pre-placed with the ability to put 204 cows in total. So we have our slurry point. Some of these doors are a little delayed, so when you go to open them, you do want to make sure you kind of pause and wait a few moments. So we have our milk point, then we have our cow delivery point. Again, we have 25 with a total of 204 possible at this location. So this is also the manure pad, if you will. We have bale and pallet storage up on the hill, and then another three-sided silage bunker. So that's kind of the big cow farm in the middle of the map. Then the other farm that we're going to take a look at is up here in the northeast. So it's all along this area here. So we're going to have our fuel point. We've got a couple small buildings here to store machinery. We have some large grain storage sheds. Some more machinery sheds and the like. Bale and pallet storage. Then we have our cows. Here we're going to have 10 cows at the start with a total of 159 available for purchase. We have our milk point, our food, and of course our straw inside. And our slurry is going to be on the other side of the building. We also have that manure pad. Up the hill some more. We're going to find a 3-sided silage bunker. And we're also going to find our farm silo building, where once again we have to open the door in order to get to our dump station. So that is inside in here. And then we're going to have our fill pipe here along the side. Now what makes this farm kind of interesting is right through here, we're going to make our way over to the animal dealer. So our animal dealer is right past this farm on the extreme northeast corner of the map. So here at this location, we have bale and pallet, or bale storage, or not storage, bale sell point. We have a slurry buy point. We're going to have a grain sell point here as well. We're going to have a sell point for our dairy. We have our animal buy point there. And then we have our manure purchase point there as well. If we take this windy road south along the eastern side of the map, we're going to find our way over here to where we have some of these farmhouses. So we have one farmhouse located here at farmland ID 63 with our triggers in the front. Continuing along to the extreme southeast corner, we're going to come to a collection of houses. We're going to have farmhouse here, farmhouse there, farmhouse available here. 4. We made our way back up the road. We're going to find a cross street just north of this farmhouse. And this cross street, if we take it, we're going to come along another farmhouse. Another farmhouse here. And if we continue along this road, we're going to come to a grain sell point that is here right along the river. So we have our dump station here, and then the river is kind of an interesting deal here. We've got a little bit of a land bridge, if you will. We have a nice water height indicator to give you a clue of how high the water is. A little people bridge. Have an interesting giddy up there. And this is going to take us all the way over here to the road that basically runs north-south along the western side of the map. We have the BGA that I mentioned at Farmland ID 90. If you own Farmland ID 90, you will have access to 3 3-sided silage bunkers, as well as the BGA itself. You can sell the BGA. If you do, you get $0, but you will then have the ability to place other things at this location. Now, when I did sell the BGA when I was testing things, I did notice that these 3 containers they stayed. I wasn't able to really get rid of those, but they're not overly in the way, in my opinion. We have our vehicle shop, and then we also have 3 kind of open, placeable yards here where we could put our own production down or other sell points, because I mentioned, other than the BGA, there is no other production on the map. With respect to our vehicle dealer, it is going to be a Kloss dealer. And man, that little hot hat just putters up and down these roads all day. So we have our trigger here to buy our machinery. Let's go ahead and pick something up quick. So we've got a decent sized area back here for our vehicles and machinery to spawn. And then with respect to our gate getting out of the vehicle shop, it's a modestly wide gate. I would say anything that you can get out of this gate, well, you're going to have more problems driving along the narrow UK roads than really getting out of the vehicle shop. Well, the dealer trigger, in order to sell, customize, repaint, and such, it's going to be located inside of this back shed. Go ahead and open that door up. There you can have our dealer trigger, our activation there, and then, well, I guess he's going to be our maintenance tech. And the last thing I really want to point out is south along this main road, farmland ID 100, we're going to find a few additional sell points. So if we take a look at our triggers, we have a Saxlingham products sell point for various palleted goods and such. We have a farmer's market, and we have the Lotman grain. So we have our product sell point here. We have our farmer's market sell point. Then we have our grain sell point located right there. And folks, that is it. That is Saxlingham. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just kind of take a look across the map at this point. Decent sized fields for a UK map. And overall, they don't look to be too terribly tight with respect to access in and out. They do have some hedges, but again, they're not super close to the field. I think players overall should have a pretty good time with respect to this map. I do like that we've got multiple farm options, so this map would be pretty nice in multiplayer as well, in my opinion. Again, I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. Is it something you're going to be adding to your playlist? And I kind of wish, maybe it will, but I kind of wish this is going to make its way over to the Mod Hub. That way it can be included for console players as well. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. If you do know what the idea or the plans are for the map author, then maybe drop those also in a comment below the video. Until next time, happy farming.